Okay, welcome back. In this video, I'm just going to go over my experience at the Canadian Hotlead convention in Stratford, Ontario this past weekend. I went with my wife and my son for the first time in a couple of years due to COVID. Wasn't running the last 2 years. And yeah, it was a great experience. So I'm just going to share with you guys while I play with my dice here. I'm just going to, my cat sleeps. I'm just going to share with you guys my experience from the convention and show you what I managed to bring home with me and what I thought of the convention in general. So yeah, it was this past Saturday, or actually it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I only went for the Saturday because I couldn't. I was just too tired to stay there the whole weekend. Plus, I had a young cat at home, and I wanted to make sure that he was looked after. And I didn't feel comfortable leaving him for 3 days, so I left him for just the one day. He's still a little angry at me, but he's okay. He's a good boy. And I wanted to bring my son for the first time. So my son's just about to turn 9, and I thought this is a perfect time to bring him, show him what I do. Normally I go and I run a convention game on the Saturday morning, so Friday night, Saturday morning, and Saturday night. But I just couldn't this year. I just didn't have the energy. So I didn't run any convention games this year. I just participated in one single one, and it was a Star Trek game where it was using the Metaverse rules by Battlespace Publishing, which is oh my god. I downloaded the rulebook because it's free online, and the rulebook just blew my mind. Like I could not grasp this game. The amount of love and dedication and soul that they've put into this game, the guys at Battlespace Publishing, you can see in every line of text and every example and every play sheet. You can tell they're just space battle fans. But my brain could not comprehend. It was like an algebraic formula you had to break to be able to get this game, or to understand this game. So they happen to be running this game, a demo of this game, or actually several games of this game, or rule set, sorry, at the convention. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go there, sign up for the game, play it once. It'll be like a jigsaw puzzle. Everything will just come together. The rules will make sense, and I can come back and enjoy the game myself. So that's what I did. Now I'm lying to you if I would be lying to you if I told you that I actually came home at a better understanding of the rules than I went in with. I kind of have an idea how they work, but oh man, was that a workout for my brain. The guys running the game were fantastic. The game itself was fantastic, but it's not my cup of tea. There's just too much to do, too much to think about. There's everything in this game. There's sensors, range. Oh my god, I can't even go into it. There is just a lot. Look up the game for yourself. It's called Metaverse by Battlespace Publishing. It's an amazing set of rules. Now it's a core set of rules for space battles. So there's a core of the game, and then you can fit whatever sci-fi system you want, like any site. So you can have Babylon 5, Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, Battlestar Galactica, whatever you can think of, whatever you can come up with in your head for a space battle, this rule set will accommodate. But because it can accommodate all of the things, it has just so much to it. The battle card alone for like let's say you have a ship, they give you a card that tracks all the damage and stuff. That was a 9 by 8 by 11 sheet of paper, double-sided with charts and graphs and oh my god, all over it for every ship. It was intense. It was a really fun time. I played the essentially there was a Galaxy class starship in a asteroid field, and the Dominion are coming in to try and take it. They either want to capture it or blow it up. And the Galaxy class can't warp out. It's fixing its warp drive, but it can still maneuver, but it just can't leave. And it has to survive. So it has with it a Miranda class and a Saber? Maybe a Saber class, 2 smaller ships escorting it. And reinforcements were a Klingon battle group and a Romulan, the big thing, the Deridix, the big bird of prey thing. The Romulans came on from one side of the board, or the map, and the Klingons came on the other side, and it was a Vorcha battle cruiser or cruiser and 6 birds of prey. And I happened to be the Klingons. And in 3.5, I think 4 hours of playing, I moved 22 centimeters, turned, and moved 11 centimeters, and the game ended. That was just how much out of the 6 or 8 players, that's how long it took to go around. And these guys had to basically teach every single person the rules every single time it was their turn. So they'd teach me for 20 minutes, they teach that guy for 20 minutes, 20, and they'd go all the way around. So the first turn took like 2.5 hours. The second turn only took an hour and a half, but still required, every activation basically required their attention. So I would have loved to have played the game a little longer and maybe had less players, so I could, maybe a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-2 battle where you could, in those 4 hours, you could get 5 or 6 turns done, but we only managed to complete 2 turns. The Federation, Klingons, and Romulans managed to win. We broke the morale of the Dominion fleet, and they fled. But we didn't do a whole lot of damage. We basically just destroyed a a Dominion battle cruiser and 3 attack ships. And that was it. We killed 3 tiny ships and 1 huge ship, and that was it. And they basically, the whole fleet for the Dominion, the Cardassians, the Breen, and the Dominion themselves, they just attacked essentially for the entire time. Every single ship fired on the Galaxy class, and it managed to survive. The Miranda and the the Saber, I think they both blew up, but they didn't fulfill their objective. Anyway, that's 6 minutes on really nothing. That's the game I played, and I really liked it. But I need to play it like 50 more times to try and understand it. While I was there, though, I spent my time walking around the vendors, and I wouldn't say that there's a ton of vendors at Hotlead, but there's definitely, if you need something, there's a vendor there that has it. Most years. This year, I wanted to get a couple of battle mats because I'm kind of sick of looking at this one, and I have a couple more, but this is the one that's brightest, so my models kind of look okay on it. If I have the one that's underneath here, it's a kind of a darker one, and then there's a dark green one. So I like this one here just for doing videos on, but I wanted to pick up a couple of battle mats. So I went to Hotlead with, I'm ashamed to say it, $450 in cash that my wife had put aside for me for this convention, because this is usually what we do. We start putting money away in August, and then when March comes around, I have some spending money at these things. My goal was to go there and buy 2 battle mats or whatever I could, and the rest of the money was going to be spent on terrain. That's it. No models, just terrain. So I will just show you what I bought terrain-wise. First thing I bought from a guy selling an estate sale was these trees. And you can see them all here. There's about, 15 of these very spiky, they look like very thick toilet brushes. I'm not sure what the material is, but I bought some trees, and I'm going to put them on little bases, because I will be honest, we've tried to do battle reports, or we wanted to do a battle report almost every single week, but I'm a guy who buys models and doesn't buy terrain, so my tables look very sparse compared to most battle report channels. So I feel bad for having to film a battle report and have you guys see something that's not really, looks very basic. So my goal is this year is just to make nothing but terrain, buy nothing but terrain, so that when I start doing battle reports more often, they'll look good. But anyway, I bought those trees. I also bought more trees. A whole bag of trees. Some really nice ones. I'm not going to open them out of the bag to show you, but you can see there's a whole bag of trees. So I bought a ton of trees. And what else for terrain? Oh wait, that's it. I bought nothing but a bag of trees. I went to a vendor table called Crucible Crush, and he had probably, it'd be like if you were trying to quit smoking and there was a guy there selling the rarest, nicest cigars, and you want nothing but to have to smoke the cigar, but you just quit and you know you shouldn't, but they're there. Or if you're trying to diet and they're giving away free Big Macs or even McDonald's French fries or whatever your vice might be, That's what it was like. This guy set up his table and it had everything that I was into on it for sale. So I didn't buy just terrain. I bought miniatures as well. And I'll show them to you, but I have no idea why I did this. By the time I knew what I was doing, I had spent the $450 on miniatures, and I don't know why I bought them, to be honest. Like, you have no idea. If you could see my face right now, I still have no idea why I bought them and what came over me. But it's a kind of a, if you live in Great Britain, you can go down to the corner store or whatever, or the local hobby shop the next town over, and you can basically get whatever you want that you're into. I don't want to say that that's true for everyone there, but in my mind, that's true for most people. When you live in like rural Canada, I mean, you have to order everything in. So when you go to a convention and they have stuff there in front of you, you can't stop yourself. It's I just couldn't do it. But before I get to what I bought from Crucible Crush Games, I will show you that I bought this pack of Perrin miniatures, Franco-Prussian War, a French starter pack. Now there was several of these packs, and I should have bought them all, but they didn't have any Prussians. So I'm like, why would I buy 10mm Franco-Prussian War figures without the Prussians? So I only bought the one pack, but this retails for £30, and I got this for $5 Canadian, no tax. I should have bought more of them. I don't know what I was thinking yet. I was just humming and hawing, like, do I really want to start another project? Because I already have Franco-Prussian Wars in 28mm and 6mm, so what the hell am I doing with 10mm? But anyway, they were $5, pretty cool. Another thing that I bought at another vendor was this weathering set. It's basically AK Interactive, and I'm going to try and do more weathering on my miniatures. So I'm going to learn that this year. That's something I'm going to do, is learn how to weather and also learn how to do chipping to make the miniatures look a little better on the table. So this is a chipping set, comes with chipping fluid and various other things. So that's something that I just kind of like take a little course on that. So I bought those. So I got the trees, the bag of trees on the floor, Perrin, these two. Then they had every rule book under the sun. So I bought Infamy by Two Fat Lardies, because why not have another set of skirmish rules for Ancients? It came with the pack of cards, and it's a beautiful book. Now, you haven't seen them because I haven't showed them to you yet, but I do have early Imperial Romans from Victrix. Several bags of them. I haven't painted them or assembled them, but I do have them. And this is the rule set I want to use them with. So I got Infamy from Two Fat Lardies. And then I bought O Group. Reichwitz Press, but basically Two Fat Lardies, kind of. Very affiliated with them. So this is battalion level games in World War II. And with these, now let's just start off here. I seen this rule set and I thought, you know what, I would like to try this rule set. And I looked, as you're perusing a rule book, you kind of like look through it, and I seen 12mm miniatures from Victrix in them. They're basically all over the book. Right? You can see right there in the front. So I seen this, I'm like, oh wow. You know what? I've seen these before online. I'm like, nah, why would anyone make 12mm figures? Like, there's 6mm, there's 10mm, there's 15mm, there's 20, 1/72 scale, there's 25mm, there's 28mm. What are people thinking with 12mm? And off to the side, kind of like around a table where no one was going, there was a box on the ground, and it had a Victrix thing sticking up out of it. And I went over and I looked at it. And I had this in my hand, by the way. And I opened the box. I'm like, oh, what's in here? And, well, he had just put out these 12mm miniatures from Victrix. The very same ones that are in the cover. And I thought to myself, Jesus. And when this is what I'm talking about. When you go to a place and I would never have ordered these in. Never would I have ordered these in, because these are $34 Canadian, around $40 Canadian, essentially, if I conversion rate, if I bought them from Great Britain, and I'd have to pay shipping and probably import fees from the customs. And by then, they're fairly expensive units. But this guy was selling them for $28 cash, no tax. And I thought to myself, that's around 20% savings just alone on the price, plus no shipping. I'll buy a few. So I bought that one. And then I bought, I'll show you here, I'll get them all out. And then I bought Wolverine. And I bought one more. Where is it? Here it is. I bought a Sherman. And that's what I bought. And I went up to my hotel room and I told my wife, like, this is what I got. Pretty cool. You know what? These were a mistake. I shouldn't have bought these. I don't need them. But it was just something that I had to have. I had to have them in my hand. There's just something wrong with me when I feel them. I'm so happy to have them, but I know I shouldn't. Anyway, so that's what I bought. I went up to my hotel room and I dollied around up there with my wife and my kid. He went swimming. I went into the swimming pool. I didn't go into the pool with him, but I went to the pool area with him, and we had a good time for about an hour. And then I went back to the convention just to take a look around again. And once you've gone around the vendors once in a convention, you basically know what's there. But, you're there. You go around a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And yeah, that's what happened. Every single time I walked past, I bought a couple more, and a couple more, and a couple more, and a couple more. And by the time I knew it, I had bought almost one of everything. Animags, Cromwells, Wesp, German infantry, Panzer IVs, British infantry. What's this? This is... I don't even know what this is. Oh, Sextons, British artillery, essentially. Tigers. Now, all the rest of them had 20, but it looked like they changed it to 28. And when I went up to the counter, he's like, yeah, it's 28. So it looked like they were originally going to go for 20, but they were up for 28. But they didn't mark this one as 28, so I got that for 20. And then I went back later on at the end of the day, and he had another set that he had still $20 written on. So I bought 2 of them. So for some reason I have 12 Tigers, even though I don't need even 9 Tigers. But that's what I bought, and they'll go with the O group. And yeah, that was my weekend at Hotlead. I did take many pictures. And I was intending to take videos and pictures of everything, all the tables, and show you guys a cool slideshow. But I just not very efficient at editing just yet. So someone better. There's already better photos and stuff on the Hotlead Facebook group than I could ever take. So I'll leave it for them. And maybe this time next year I'll get my proper camera equipment out of its box, and I can give you guys a full report of the convention next year. And next year I do intend to go for the 3 days, and I do intend to run at least 2 games as long as it's open. And yeah, that was my convention haul. Now, my wife knows I bought this stuff, but I went there for terrain, and I bought a bunch of friggin' trees. I didn't buy a single house, no roads, no fences, nothing. And I could have, but I didn't. I had spent all my bloody money on these things, and then I couldn't afford I couldn't afford the terrain. One last thing before I go. Every year I paint thousands upon thousands of figures, every single year, and every few years I'll go underneath my table tennis table here and I'll look at all the boxes of miniatures. Now I could bring the camera down and I could show you I've got 50, 60, 70 boxes. Actually, if I just go out there, you see that stack? You see that stack? That's just a small fraction of what I have. I put them in these little boxes. And every few years, I'll just sell on eBay or on Facebook groups or whatever. I'll sell the things that I'm not using or haven't used in a long time. And one year, about 7-8 years ago, I sold 10 millimeter War of 1866 Austrians and Prussians. And there was maybe 1,000 figures between the two armies, maybe 1,200 figures between the two armies, and I sold them overseas. I shipped them overseas. Well, this weekend, one of the vendors was selling those exact figures that I painted, like my figures that I bought and painted and sold. He was selling them. I walk over and he's like, "Oh," and I seen like $350 on this thing. I'm like, "Oh, you're selling? What is this?" He's like, "Oh, I'm selling a late friend's estate." And I'm just selling what he had. And I felt really bad. I'm like, "Oh, really? That's too bad. You're a really good friend for doing that." And he was standing there behind a table full of miniatures and all kinds of stuff. That's who I got the trees from. And I thought to myself, like, "Oh, okay, well, Austrian 1866 figures." And I opened the little drawer and I'm like, "What?" I closed the drawer and I opened it again. And I looked at it. I'm like, stared at it. And I thought, no. Opened it again, looked at it. Holy shit, they're mine. I paint. Now, I didn't tell him that they were mine, but they were 150% the ones that I painted and sold and went overseas. So my mind was like exploding. Like, how the hell did they end up back in Canada at this convention for sale? And then I moved over 2 steps and he had another army, a 10 millimeter French and Russian 1812 army in a big giant brown case. KR, it was a KR battle case. And didn't it have my bloody handwriting on the case explaining what they were? Exactly how I sold them 9 years ago. So I thought to myself, there's no way. And I opened the box, and sure enough, there was the 2,000 French and Russians that I had painted in the box for sale again for $750. And I thought to myself, I couldn't say anything to the guy because I felt bad. Like, I can't claim ownership over them anymore because they're not mine anymore, but I painted them. And it blew my mind. My mind is still blown that somehow I shipped them overseas and in that time they came back and then went for sale at the very convention I'm at. I actually felt like buying them all back. You know how sometimes you have that buyer's or seller's remorse where you sell stuff and you're like, "Oh, I wish I hadn't done that." I could have bought them all back, but I didn't because I have enough stuff. But yeah, that was last thing I want to tell you guys. It was just a weird, surreal experience. And my plan is to maybe do an unboxing of these if you want to see that. If you want to see them up next to 6mm figures and 15mm figures and 28mm figures, well, 6 and 15 at least. If you want to see them compared next to those guys, I can do that for you if you want. Just let me know in the comments. But I'm going to be using these miniatures with O Group, and then I'm going to be using Infamy by Two Fat Lardies. And hopefully, eventually, my painting will get better because I have some chipping and weathering training to do. But again, that's it for me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.